DIY versus hiring a professional deck builder. There's lots of considerations to make. We want to make sure that you have all the information in front of you so you can make an informed decision, whatever is best for you. My name is Phil Black. I'm the owner of Custom Deck Creations here in Southeast Michigan. Today's video is all about DIY versus hiring a professional deck builder. There are, in fact, a lot of considerations that go into building a deck. You have the two major phases, the design phase and the building phase. If you're not a DIY around your house, the decision is likely gonna be a little bit more straightforward. If you are a DIY-er around your house, you have a chest full of tools in your basement and don't mind strapping on the tool belt, this video is for you. We want to highlight all the major components and phases of building a deck and specifically highlighting the DIY approach versus hiring a professional deck builder. Now keep in mind too, at least with Custom Deck Creations, we can always design a phased approach for you where we start off your deck. Maybe we design it and dig the holes and set the footings and posts and you build the rest. If you're interested in a solution like that and you're in the Southeast Michigan area, give us a call. We'd love to chat. All right, so the major phases of building a deck at a high level, you have the design phase. You want to make sure that your deck design, the colors will match your home, the design elements will match your home, that the deck design itself will be approved by any HOA or condo association, and that it'll pass permitting. You want to make sure that the construction drawing itself matches code. Now, assuming that you have the design done, it's a pass any HOA or condo association approval, and you have an issued permit, the next step is to actually building it. Now, here in Michigan, the trick is getting the post holes down below the frost line. Typically, it's at least 42 inches. And if your home was built in the last 20 years, any holes within 5 feet of your home should go down to the foundation of your home. If you have a basement that's not a walkout basement, those holes are typically about 8 feet deep. So make sure you have a way to dig those holes properly. After that, we're setting footings and setting the posts. We want to make sure that that's all going to pass code and be structurally sound so your deck does last for decades to come. Now, keeping it a bit high level, the next major phase is rough carpentry, installing the beams. Are they 2-ply or 3-ply? Are they 2x8s, 10s, or 12s, all per plan? After that are your joists, typically installed 16 inches on center. Are your joists 2x8s, 2x10s, or 2x12s? How are they fastened to the beams? How are the beams fastened to the posts, and how are your decking boards fastened to your joists? All things you'll want to plan out and think about exactly how to do that and make sure you have the material and time to install that properly. If your decking boards are installed at an angle, you want to narrow up that joist spacing from 16 to typically 12 inches on center. After you have your rough frame built, you want to get that inspected by the local building department. Be sure to coordinate that with the inspector and their available time. After that comes the trim work, which is gonna be the most time-consuming piece of building a DIY deck. You have the decking boards. Do you prefer to cut them all to length and then install them? Or install them all and then cut what we refer to in the business as that money cut, that one cut that cuts all the deck boards to length? Do you install a parting board or a picture frame? After that comes your trim work of your railing, making sure that the railing is installed properly and safely to code. And one of the trickiest components of a DIY deck build is the stairs, making sure that the stair risers are all perfectly identical. Your tallest stair rise cannot exceed more than 3/8 of an inch difference to your lowest stair rise. So as you can see, again, we're only keeping it high level in this video, but there are a lot of major components. If it's a DIY wood deck versus a DIY composite deck, that's also an important consideration to make. A composite deck will typically take much longer than a wood deck installation. Now, we've circled back with homeowners that have decided to go the DIY route a year after they let us know. And we always call them back and ask them, hey, how did it go? Do you still need some help? About half of those homeowners have invited us back to their home to work on their deck with them. They either never got started or they started digging the holes and realized, I don't like digging through clay. For the homeowners that did complete the project, we asked, how did it go? What issues did you have and how long did it take? I'll never forget one homeowner let us know, it took me and my brother 6 months every weekend throughout the entire summer and fall. I would never do it again. We didn't get time to enjoy the deck at all. And comparing to my neighbor who did hire a deck builder, they were in and out before we completed our project, and theirs looks better. Most professional deck builders will take anywhere from 3 days to 2 weeks to build a deck, and that's a crew of 2 to 4 people. So you can start doing some math as far as professional carpenters and craftsmen and how long it takes them to build a deck. Of course, that's a wide range and it depends on the deck's material and design. And another consideration to make is the materials. What materials are available to order? What materials do I need to pass code? What materials are maybe as a DIYer you're more familiar with using? And are they just as good as other alternatives? Typically with a deck build, there's about 40 different SKUs of materials to order. Now, of course, that varies on the deck itself, the design, and the materials going into it. But it does provide a rough idea on the research needed to dive into what materials are needed for a proper deck build. Another consideration to keep in mind is cost. Yes, you're saving on labor since you're providing that labor yourself, but you are paying more for the material. There's a certain economies of scale for deck builders that specialize in decks that have great working relationships with local lumber yards, that because they buy so much quantity in a year, they get preferred pricing versus a homeowner, a retail customer walking in off the streets to a lumber yard. So if you're one that rather enjoy your deck and be on your deck and know that it was built properly, we typically would recommend hiring a professional deck builder. If you're one that you know you can take on a project like this and that you have the time to do so, it can be a DIY project, but keep in mind it is a pretty complex project, from digging the holes and managing inspections, construction drawings, and material runs. It can be an overwhelming experience for even the most experienced DIYers. Now let me tell you a quick story about a homeowner that hired us to help him with his DIY project. Our role in the project was to create a construction drawing to ensure it would get permitted properly, to ensure that it would pass his homeowners association, to dig the holes, set the footings, set the posts, and build the frame. He had a party coming up and told himself, I can do this in a month. And that was setting the deck boards, installing the railing, installing trim pieces such as fascia, and building the stairs. Now, after we were done and we left with the joists installed, unfortunately, it took him about 3 months to finish that. And this homeowner, high respects to him, one of the most DIYers that I know. Still, the deck project took much, much longer than anticipated. But it did feel like a great pairing with us building the structural components and the frame and then him finishing it off, which can be a great solution if you're considering a DIY. If you're in the Southeast Michigan area and whether you're thinking DIY and need some help, no matter what type of help, maybe it's the drawings, maybe it's the holes, maybe it's the framing, or if you're looking to hire a professional deck builder, call Custom Deck Creations. We'd love to help you out with your project.
Did you reach out to anyone that was like, hey, yeah, it actually turned out pretty well?
That's a great question. And honestly, not to my recollection.
Really?
Because honestly, most people say I never did it.
Right.
Or they might say I hired someone else because I wasn't going to do it myself. Or it's not done. I have photos of people that sent me their DIY stuff that's like, hey, look, this is how far I made it. Can you come out and help me?